I like that. I like your idea.
Time now for Drawing a Blank. We are talking the Baltimore Ravens this morning, dealing with a bunch of injuries already. Running backs J.K. Dobbins and Justice Hill both out for the year. Two of Lamar's top weapons out, wide receivers Rashad Bateman and Miles Boykin. They're starting the season on IR. With all the injuries, Baltimore worked out free agent running back Lev Bell and Devontae Freeman yesterday. So Chris Broussard, the Ravens working out L. Bell and Devontae Freeman, is blank.
It is Lotto, Jenna, L-O-T-T-O, and stick with me, America. Lotto is the name of the opening track on Le'Veon Bell's very, very slept-on hip-hop album, Life is a Gamble, in 2018. There it is.
Let's go.
I mean, that might be Le'Veon's next career, but the opening song was Lotto. And like most people that play the lottery, this was a gamble, all right? And it won't pay off. This is not likely to pay off. I hate to say it, I think Le'Veon is done as a productive running back in the NFL. And Devontae Freeman, let me not forget him. It has been since, neither of them has been productive since 2017. All right, and for Le'Veon, he has not averaged more than 4 yards a carry. Not 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, none of that since 2016, all right? And then he goes to Kansas City last year, has a chance. I mean, I thought he was going to actually play pretty well there. He didn't, and then he rips Andy Reid over the summer, saying he'd never want to play for Andy Reid again. So I just think Le'Veon is not, he took a lot of punishment his first 5 years in the league in Pittsburgh, a lot of carries, a lot of catches. He was great, but he's not the same running back. So this just shows how desperate, Nick, the Ravens actually are with their injuries in the backfield.
Before I give my take on this, because of that full screen, I have to do an impromptu list real quick. Best athlete rappers of the modern era. And you didn't have to play professionally, at least college athlete or higher. Number 1, Damian Lillard. Number 2, Le'Veon Bell. Number 3, Chris Broussard. Really? Folks, don't sleep on Broussard's collegiate rapping or basketball career. Folks don't know this. Chris Broussard in college, the dual threat. How do you think he got his wife? He was hooping on the weekdays, rapping on the weekends. That is a true story. There's video somewhere. Now, it was taken with one of those cameras that you got to turn. I'm not sure how those work, but that's how the cameras work.
Still photography. They married together.
Athlete rapper.
I was rapping
no doubt
with the
about
Sugar
it.
Hill Gang, right?
The Sugar Hill Gang, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. And they called Broussard Big Bro. Okay, now to this answer. I am going to make this more about the Ravens than about L. Bell. I think this is hyper concerning. Because that full screen, it'd be one thing if it was only their running back room that was bitten by the injury bug. Because then it's like, oh, maybe we can turn this into a positive. We're going to have to throw the ball more. We're going to have to change the offense more and allow some growth from Lamar. But that ain't it. It's his, I would argue, second and fourth best receivers, and then first and third best running backs. And so now all of a sudden, your running back room, it's Gus Edwards, like in the Will Smith scene, looking around like, where is everybody? And this is the tragic episode with his father, great episode, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. People know what I'm talking about. And their wide receiver room is leaning on Sammy Watkins staying healthy. And let me tell you something, that's not something you want to lean on. Sammy Watkins, I actually think, is an excellent player for about 6 games a year. And he's the healthy guy coming into the year, along with Hollywood Brown. So I think we are not quite to the Colts season from hell level of concern for the Ravens before the year starts. But Wilds, this is a low-key big deal as the Ravens, it's not just that they're dealing with injuries, they're dealing with injuries at the same position in a year when they're trying to evolve their offense.
All right, before I give my answer, I also have to weigh in on this MC battle that Broussard started. So first of all, if we count J. Cole J. Cole wears the crown by a large margin. The other underrated person here, Amon Shumpert, is actually better MC than Dame. I'm sorry, it's true. Listen to Amon Shumpert. Really? He's better than Dame. He doesn't put it out there. Amon Shumpert is good. Amon Shumpert is good. Okay, my answer. My answer is throwback. So if Ravens are going hunting, you know I always like a nice homecoming. So I was like, oh, bring Mark Ingram back. Like, Mark Ingram went with David Culley. So I have a blind reveal, gentlemen. 2 throwback players who are near and dear to everybody's heart. Still got a little bit more in the tank. Any guesses? No, reveal it. Frank Gore and AP still out there. Maybe a nice little addition to the Ravens. We'd love to see AP out there, but also Frank Gore. We know Frank Gore, friend of the show. He's 38. It's probably going to be 39 soon. 38. So I would like to see AP 1, Frank Gore 2, or both.
Well, listen, or maybe, I mean, they might have to trade a future first-round pick, but maybe they could pry Gio Bernard away from the Bucs and really sway the balance in the NFC. Wow. That's a deep-cut joke for regular viewers. So here's the other part of it, Broussard, and I know you're going to, or we are going to talk about, but you have a list of quarterbacks under the most pressure this season, and I don't want to spoil it, but Lamar's involved there. This puts even more pressure on Lamar because it's going to be figure it out, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, it just, hey, and the Dobbins injury is one of the biggest. I know Dobbins' injury was last week, but there's an opportunity to talk about it. The Dobbins injury is one of, in my opinion, the biggest offseason injuries we've had league-wide this year. Because I think people underrated not only how good he already had been, but what the Ravens were relying on him to become even further, particularly this year. And Gus Edwards is a fine back in bits, in bits and pieces. But if he has to now be your feature back when you're going to lean as heavily on the running game as the Ravens do, a lot of those carries are just going to fall on Lamar's shoulders. And I know that he's shown the ability to be able to withstand it, runs more at a higher rate than any quarterback we've ever seen. But it does feel a little like a gamble to ask Lamar to be your feature or even your secondary back week in, week out, which is the position I think the Ravens are going to find themselves in.
No, well, first of all, guys, save that clip of Nick ripping Gio Bernard. All right, save that for the proper time. When Bernard's making 5 big-time plays off catches out in the flats every week, we're going to play that, Nick, and you're going to rue the day. But back to Lamar, I agree, Nick. Look, as Lamar ages, and obviously he's still very young, but I think every season, ideally, he would run less and less. Okay, we've talked about Cam Newton for the past week, and Cam is twice as big as Lamar. And all of the running and all of the hits he's taken, you see the toll it took on his body. There are only so many hits a running back can take, and Lamar's been great at avoiding them thus far. But over time, they're going to start catching him a little bit more and more. So I agree. They need that running game. He's been the primary reason it's been so great. But he's also been complemented by a very good running back, Mark Ingram, for instance. So they're going to need somebody. And maybe, like you said, Gus can pick up the slack. He's going to have to, and he's going to have to stay healthy, too. But if the running game is primary Lamar, go out and get us 1,100 yards without a strong running back behind him, that's going to be very tough. And that's going to spell doom, I think, for the Ravens.
Well, and the other element of this is Lamar didn't get his contract extension. Now, I don't think that'll change the way he'll play, but it would change the way I'd play. All right, folks, y'all don't want to pay me. I am passing that football. I will start taking hits again once I start getting those checks again. And the Ravens are kind of making him sing for his supper a bit. Now, the Ravens' schedule, actually, the first 7 weeks is super light. I don't have it memorized, but I know they play Detroit. I know they play Denver. They play the Raiders. I think they have Cincinnati early. So,
Kansas City.
But mixed right in there is Kansas City. And the problem with that is that Lamar has said, there are kryptonite. And now you're going to be playing Kansas City before those wide receivers come off IR, before you have your running back room figured out, and to fall, as I think they are likely to 0-4 against the Chiefs, when they know if we want to make the Super Bowl, we're going to have to beat the Chiefs in the postseason. I just think psychologically that could be tough for them, not to mention if the end of the season, I would say if the 1 seed comes down to a tiebreaker, but the Ravens would have to be like 16 or 15-1 to even be alive, since the Chiefs will be 17-0. So that probably won't happen. But it's just something to keep in mind. You play the Chiefs early, Jenna, when you're figuring out your offense with all these injuries.
It all kicks off Monday night against the Raiders. Time for my list of older athletic rappers. Oh, we're going to break. I'll do mine after. Coming up next, we've got Eagles QB1 Jalen Hurts joining us. Can't wait to talk all things Philly, all things Week 1. It is next, only on First Things First. Who do I have?
Get football on your terms with NFL Game Pass. You know. See every snap from every game.
There he goes!
Watch your team on your time.
Jefferson, still going!
And listen to all the action as it happens.
Watch the dog, Cheeks! Leaping grab Devontae Adams! Kittle over the middle!
This season, get football on your terms.
The trickery from Cleveland!